Hey Met fans, Brian here at Mets Mayhem. The New York Mets and Philadelphia Phillies just finished up a 3-game series at Citi Field this afternoon. The Mets came into this game 17-7 in first place in NL East, 4 games up on the Phillies, who are 13-11. Lefty David Peterson took the mound for the Mets, going up against former Met Zack Wheeler and the Phillies. The Mets are now 6-0 on this homestand. They're riding a 6-game winning streak, going for their 7th win in a row, going for the series sweep. Game 3, Mets-Phillies. Let's get into it. So David Peterson on the mound for the Mets, and he's facing Trea Turner leading off for the Phillies in this game. And after working the count full, Turner grounds a slider right to Vientos at third, who tosses over to first base for the first out. Now we have Bryce Harper batting second, and Peterson gets ahead of him by going up and in, and then he works him off the plate with a slider. Harper stays with it, lines a single to left field in front of Nimmo, brings up Kyle Schwarber, runner on first base, 1 out. Peterson falls behind him, 3-1. Then he works him up and in with a sinker. Schwarber pulls it to right field, but right at Soto, 2 outs. Now Nick Castellanos up at the plate, 2 outs, runner at first. He pulls a curveball to deep shortstop on the edge of the outfield grass. Lindor backhands it, stops it, and he short hops Beatty at second base, who's covering for the force. Beatty scoops it up, and then gets Harper out to end the top of the first inning. Zack Wheeler on the mound for the Phillies in the bottom of the first inning, and he faces Francisco Lindor. Lindor just made a beautiful play to end the top half of the first with the help of Beatty, and Wheeler gets him to ground a 2-2 fastball to third base. Baum fields it, fires over to Harper, and that's the first out for the Mets. So it's the first time the Phillies have been able to get Lindor out, leading off a game in this series. Juan Soto up next. He works the count full, a couple of foul balls back, pulls the 9th pitch of the at-bat to the right side, seeing-eye single. So now we have Alonso up, 1 out, runner on first base, and Wheeler gets him to fly out to Rojas in center for the second out. Nimmo now up, and he grounds the 0-1 sinker right to Harper, who takes it to first base on his own, and that ends the first inning. So we're scoreless after 1, but worth taking note of is the Mets made Wheeler work that first inning. He threw 22 pitches. It's not an incredible amount of pitches, but he didn't breeze through the first inning. The Mets are going to try to get Wheeler's pitch count up, get him out of the game as early as possible, and then get into the Phillies bullpen. Peterson takes the mound in the top of the second inning. JT Realmuto leading off. Peterson gets ahead of him 1-2, and Realmuto hits a line drive about 5 feet from the warning track, but Taylor turned around, ran back, and snagged it for the first out. So now we have 1 out, Alex Bohm up. He's struggled so far this season, but he's had success against Peterson in his career, and he pulls a hard ground ball down the line into left field for a base hit. That brings up Edmundo Sosa up for the Phillies, runner on first, no one out. After falling behind 3-0, Peterson gets the count to 3-2 before Sosa lines a single to right field. Now that puts runners on first and second, 1 out for Weston Wilson, making his first at-bat of the season. Wilson hits a ground ball to Vientos at third. Vientos is unable to field it cleanly, so Weston reaches on a fielding error. Bases loaded, 1 out. Johan Rojas up, and he goes first pitch hunting. Flies out to Soto in shallow right field. The runners have to hold. Bases remain loaded, 2 outs now. Trea Turner up, but Peterson gets him to hit a ground ball to Lindor at shortstop, who tosses to Beatty at second to get the force, and the Phillies come away without scoring a run. Mark Vientos leads off the bottom of the second inning against Zack Wheeler, and he lines an 0-1 up and in fastball to right field for a leadoff base hit. Jesse Winker up next, and Wheeler strikes him out on a 96-mile-an-hour fastball up and in for the first out. Wheeler then goes on to strike out Tyrone Taylor on a high fastball, changing his eye level as he worked him lower into the strike zone early in the count, so that's 2 outs. Brings up Brett Beatty. First pitch from Wheeler is a curveball outside corner for a ball. Then Wheeler tries to bust Beatty inside with a cutter, and Beatty got all of that one. Turns on it, crushes a 2-run home run, upper deck right field, 2-0 Mets. Hayden Singer comes up. He's more than likely going to be the one sent down when Francisco Alvarez gets activated on Friday. He's getting the start today. He strikes out on 3 pitches to end the second inning. So the Mets strike first, up 2-0 after Beatty takes Wheeler deep, and that takes us to the top of the third inning. So Peterson's given a 2-0 lead, and he's working in the top of the third inning. First batter up is Bryce Harper, and he gets Harper to ground one the other way to Vientos, who fires over to Alonso, 1 out. That brings up Kyle Schwarber, and 1 out, and Peterson gets ahead of him 1-2 before getting him to swing and miss on a slider outside and away for the 2nd out. Nick Castellanos up now, 2 outs. Peterson gets ahead of him 0-1, and then just misses with a changeup at the bottom of the zone, evens the count at 1-1. He goes back to the changeup but throws it outside. Castellanos chases it, fouls it off, 1-2 count. He then comes back and freezes him with a 95-mile-an-hour fastball on the outside corner. Strike 3, 3rd out, side retired. Francisco Lindor leading off the bottom of the 3rd inning for the Mets, and Wheeler falls behind him 3-1 and walks him. Now Juan Soto up, Lindor at first, no one out. Soto works the count as he usually does. Gets the count full before Wheeler gets him to pop up on an inside fastball to third base. Alec Bohm makes the play for the 1st out. He starts Alonso away before busting him inside for sinker. Gets Alonso to pop up to shortstop to Trey Turner, 2 outs. So now we have Lindor at first, 2 outs, Nimmo up. Wheeler gets him to pop up as well to Trey Turner at shortstop, and that ends the 3rd inning. Going to the top of the 4th inning, Peterson protecting the 2-0 lead, JT Realmuto leading off, and he pulls a 2-1 changeup, line drive down towards third base. Vientos dives to his right. He snags it, 1 out. Now we have Alec Bohm batting 2nd, and he hits a 1-2 fastball the other way, base hit. So the Phillies have a runner on first base, 1 out. That brings up Edmundo Sosa, and Peterson gets him to hit a grounder towards Vientos, who tosses over to second base. Beatty's covering. We got the force. So now it's 2 outs, runner on first. So Weston Wilson is now up. Peterson is pitching him away the entire bat. And then he comes inside with a 2-2 fastball. Wilson lines it to left field, base hit. Now his runners on first and second for the Phillies. Still 2 outs. Johan Rojas up, and he again does damage on a non-fastball. He reaches for an 0-1 changeup off the plate. Hits a grounder up the middle of center field. That drives in Sosa. So now it's a 2-1 game. Wilson moves to third. First and third, 2 outs. Trey Turner at the plate. Turner's been really silent this whole series, but not this time. Turner hits a ground ball through the right side into right field. That drives home Wilson and ties this game at 2. That brings up Bryce Harper, and he swings at the first pitch he sees, an 84-mile-an-hour slider. Hits one on the ground to Alonso, who tosses to Peterson, and he covers first, and that's the 3rd out. Tie game now at 2. Wheeler pitching to Mark Vientos leading off the bottom of the 4th inning for the Mets, and Vientos flies out to Castellanos in right field for the 1st out. Jesse Winker up now, and he fouls back a fastball, and then Wheeler throws him a splitter at the bottom of the zone that speeds up Winker's bat, hits a line drive double to right field. The Mets now have a runner on second base, 1 out. That brings up Tyrone Taylor, and Wheeler strikes out Taylor again on a high fastball. So it's 2 outs. Brett Beatty up. This time, instead of throwing Beatty a cutter inside, Wheeler beats him with a fastball. A bit faster, a couple miles an hour fastball than a cutter is. Strikes him out, and that ends the bottom of the 4th inning. To the top of the 5th we go. Kyle Schwarber leading off, and Peterson falls behind 3-1 and then walks him. So Peterson gets ahead this time with Castellanos 0-2 before he reaches for a curve on the outside corner, pulls a sinking line drive to left field. Brandon Nimmo coming in, dives, makes the catch. So 1 out, runner still on first. Great play by Nimmo. JT Realmuto up, first pitch swinging, grounds a sinker right to Brett Beatty at second, tosses to Lindor, fires over to Alonso. The Mets get a 4-6-3 double play to retire the Phillies. Hayden Singer leading off the bottom of the 5th inning for the Mets, and Wheeler strikes him out again. He beats him on a 2-2 fastball up and in, 1 out. Wheeler then gets ahead of Francisco Lindor 0-2. Lindor fouls off a sinker to stay alive, and then Wheeler comes back with a curveball. Lindor pulls it to the right side for a base hit. So the Mets have a runner on first, 1 out, Juan Soto up, and Wheeler gives Soto nothing at all to work with, 4 straight balls. Now the Mets have runners on first and second. That brings up Pete Alonso. This could be a pivotal moment in the game. Alonso unfortunately flies out on a 1-0 sweeper out of half the plate, and he pulls it to left field. He may have been a bit anxious in this at bat. This is a pitch he's better off taking the other way. But either way, Wheeler and the Phillies now have 2 outs. Nimmo up, and Nimmo hits a 3-2 sweeper on the ground right to Harper. Takes it to first base himself, and that's the 3rd out, ending the 5th inning. Peterson's still on the top of the 6th inning, and he's facing Alex Bohm leading off. And Bohm hits a line drive to deep left field. Nimmo goes back on the track. He leaps and he makes the catch. Robs Bohm of an extra base hit. So while Nimmo's not hitting right now, he's made 2 fantastic plays on defense, so he's still contributing in that area. That brings up Edmundo Sosa next, and he singles on a line drive to left field on a 2-2 slider. So that's 2 batters, 2 hard hit balls to start the top of the 6th inning against Peterson. That was enough. Mendoza saw enough. He goes to the bullpen. He brings on Brazoban with Weston Wilson due up. Because Weston Wilson was only in the game versus the lefties, the Phillies go to the bench. They pinch hit for him. They bring on Max Kepler. Kepler just misses the ball down the line, foul to right field. Would have been an extra base hit. Brazoban is able to get him out on a fly out to Nimmo for the 3rd out. Zach Wheeler still going strong for the Phillies, and after giving up a 2-run homer to Beatty, he's settled in. He's actually gotten stronger. He's kept the Mets at bay. The bottom of the 6th is evident of that. He strikes out the side. He gets Vientos to chase a 3-2 splitter down and out of the zone for the 1st out. He gets Winker to swing and miss on another 3-2 count, a sweeper off the plate for the 2nd out. And then after striking out Tyrone Taylor twice upstairs, he gets him on a 2-2 splitter down and out of the zone. Same pitch he got Vientos on. 6 innings in the books, and this game is tied. So Brazoban back on the mound, the top of the 7th inning, and he's facing Trey Turner leading off for the Phillies. And Turner hits a hard ground ball up the middle. Beatty ranges to his right. He backhands it behind 2nd base on the edge of the outfield grass and center. He turns and fires to Alonso, and he gets the speedy Turner out for the 1st out. Nice play by Beatty. He keeps Turner off the bases. Keeping a player of his speed off the bases in a tie game late in the game is huge. Now with the lefties Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber up, Mendoza goes to the bullpen. This is the lane for Danny Young. So Danny Young comes on to relieve Brazoban. So Young strikes Harper out on a 2-2 sweeper down and away off the plate. He worked him near the entire at bat. Harper cannot help himself, swinging at 3 sweepers nowhere near the plate for the strikeout. Big out for Young, but he's not done yet. That brings up Kyle Schwarber. And Young works him in a similar fashion to Harper, but he stays within the strike zone. He works the corners. He strikes him out on a 1-2 count. Schwarber actually looked at 3 sweepers down and away, and he's not happy at all with the call. 3 outs. Great job by Brazoban and Young to get to the Phillies' big 3. So the Phillies go to the bullpen. Matt Strahm is now on for Zach Wheeler. That's a plus for the Mets getting Wheeler out of this game. Brett Beatty due up, but now with the lefty on the mound, Luis Angel Acuna comes in to pinch hit for Beatty, and Strahm gets ahead of him 0-2. Acuna does what we have been accustomed to seeing him do, and that's foul off several pitches, but Strahm then gets a 3rd strike call on the inside corner for the 1st out. That brings up Hayden Singer, who must be one of the happiest Mets to see Wheeler out of this game, as he was struck out twice by Wheeler, but he pops up a fastball inside to 2nd base. Sosa makes the catch, and now that's 2 outs. That brings up Francisco Lindor. He's batting righty this time. Hits a fly ball to left center field that drops in with the outfielders playing deep. So Lindor at first, 2 outs. That brings up Soto, and Strahm catches him looking on a slider on the outside corner that at first glance didn't look like it was in the strike zone, and Soto let the umpire know that he didn't agree with the pitch. But Strahm does his job, gets the Mets out here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Jose Butto on the mound for the Mets, top of the 8th inning. Luis Angel Acuna stays on to play 2nd base after pinch hitting for Brett Beatty. And after getting a first pitch strike, Butto falls behind a Castellanos 3-1 before walking him. Now JT Realmuto up, runners on first, no one out. Butto works him down the entire at bat, utilizes all his pitches, and he gets him to strike out swinging on a down and away changeup off the plate. 1 out. That brings up Alex Bohm, who's been having a fantastic day so far. And Butto's able to get ahead of him 1-2 and get Bohm to expand the zone. He chases a slider down and away off the plate. He pulls it on the ground to Vientos at 3rd base. Vientos fires across the diamond. That gets the 2nd out. So that puts Castellanos on 2nd base now. 2 outs. Edmundo Sosa up. The Phillies decide to go to their bench. They pinch hit for him with Bryson Stott. Budo keeps the ball away from him the entire at bat, working off the outside corner. Count gets full before Stott actually draws a walk. So now we have runners on first and second. Budo struggling a little bit. That brings up Max Kepler. Kepler lines a single to right field. Soto comes in. He's charging. He fields the ball. He throws home. The ball comes in on the first base side of home plate. Singer catches it. He turns. He dives in front of home plate. He applies the tag. Castellanos is out. It probably helps that Castellanos is not very fast, but he's out. The Phillies want to challenge the call, but unfortunately for them, manager Rob Thompson came out and requested the challenge too late. The umpires wouldn't give it to him. It's not allowed. They're not happy about it. But replays show it wouldn't have mattered anyway. They confirmed Senga tagged Castellanos before he could touch the plate. Great play by Soto. Strong throw. Accurate throw. Senga did the rest. Fantastic play all around. Mets escaped the top of the 8th inning without giving up any runs. Jose Alvarado on relief for Matt Strahm, and he retires the side 3 up, 3 down in the bottom of the 8th inning. Alonso leading off hits a hard line drive, but right at Kepler on left field for the first out. Nimmo grounds out to Baum at third base, and then Vientos struck out on a down and in cutter. Edwin Diaz on to pitch the top of the 9th inning. Cal Stevenson comes in to pinch hit for Johan Rojas, and Stevenson's first pitch swinging and flies out to Nimmo left field. Horrible job by Stevenson, or maybe the Phillies in general. I don't know what the book was on Diaz. He's been struggling for control, especially the first batter coming into games. You can't swing at that first pitch right there. We'll take it, but that was a horrible job by the Phillies. So now we have Trey Turner up. Diaz strikes him out on a 2-2 slider. 2 quick outs for the Mets. Brings up Bryce Harper. Diaz gets him to chase a 98-mile-an-hour fastball inside. And he inside outs it, grounds it to Vientos at third, who fires to Alonso, and that's 3 outs. Jose Alvarado still in the mound. Tie game, bottom of the 9th inning. Sterling Marte pinch hits for Jesse Winker, and he hits a hard line drive to left field, just like Alonso in the 8th inning. Unfortunately, right to Kepler and left for the first out. That brings up Tyrone Taylor. He chases the 2-2 up and in cutter, strikes out for the second out. The Phillies have been exploiting him up in the zone this series. The book's going to be written on him. Other teams are going to follow this attack plan. Taylor's going to have to make adjustments and lay off of these pitches. Luis Angel Acuna getting the second bat of the game. He grounds a 2-2 cutter up the middle, base hit. So now Acuna at first, 2 outs. Hayden Senger due up. Mendoza sends up Luis Torrens to pinch hit for Senger. Torrens hits a ground ball to the right side for a base hit that moves Acuna to second base. So the Mets have first and second, 2 outs. Francisco Lindor, could he be the hero yet again? Batting from the right side, Alvarez gets ahead 0-2. Lindor fouls back 2 pitches, but then he grounds out to Stott at second for the third out. We're going to extra innings. Top of the 10th inning we go. Diaz still on the mound for the Mets. Luis Torrens is now catching after pinch hitting for Hayden Senger. Bryce Harper, who was the last out of the 9th inning, is the free runner starting on second base. Kyle Schwarber up for the Phillies, and Diaz strikes him out looking at a slider down and away. First out. That first out is so crucial in the situation, now allowing the runner to move to third base. It's huge. Next batter up, Castellanos. Unfortunately, Diaz pays no attention to Harper, who steals third base. Not the situation we want to be in. 1 out, go-ahead runner at third base for Castellanos. He ends up hitting a ground ball up the middle, scores Harper anyway, base hit, gives the Phillies a 3-2 lead. That brings up JT Realmuto, and during the at-bat, Edwin Diaz steps off 3 times, resulting in a balk being called. However, on the 3rd time, he waved to the dugout that he was hurt. While the trainer is out talking to Diaz, Max Kranick is being rushed to warm up. The umpires convene, decide to send Castellanos back to first base. Mets catch a huge break, because Diaz clearly disengaged for a 3rd time before he singled to the dugout that he was injured. But Max Kranick now on the mound, 1 out, Phillies up 3-2, Castellanos on first, JT Realmuto at the plate, and Kranick walks him on 4 pitches. After the game, Kranick stated that he probably didn't warm up enough. He felt a little bit rushed, and that contributed to the walk. Next time in a situation like that, he'll take his time warming up. First and second, 1 out, Alex Bohm up. Bohm lines a 1-2 fastball to right field. Soto charges it, fires the ball home. Castellanos holds the third this time. The ball is cut off in the infield. Bases loaded now. 1 out. This game is a hit away from breaking open the wrong way. Bryson starts at the plate, and Krennic gets him to fly out to shallow center field to Tyrone Taylor, who makes the perfect throw, keeping the runners where they are. 2 outs now. Bases still loaded. Max Kepler up, and he flies out to Soto in right field, and that ends the top of the 10th inning. Jordan Romano on for the Phillies trying to save this game in the bottom of the 10th inning. Phillies lead 3-2. Francisco Lindor made the last out in the 9th inning for the Mets, so he'll be the free runner at second base. Juan Soto leads off for the Mets, and Romano gets him to ground out to second. That advances Lindor to third base with 1 out. That brings up Alonso, and honestly, his at-bats today haven't been very good, but Romano ties him up on an 0-1 fastball up and in, gets ahead of 0-2, and then he goes down and away on a slider that stayed in the zone. Alonso stayed back, reached, and hit a double to right field. I believe he even had one hand come off the bat, but that's how strong Alonso is. It brings home Lindor, ties the game at 3. Nimmo was now intentionally walked to set up the double play. So 3 all game. Mets have runners on first and second, 1 out. Mark Vientos coming to bat. Romano then blows a 2-2 97-mile-an-hour fastball by Vientos for the strikeout. 2 outs now. Sterling Marte now up, his second at-bat of the game after pinch hitting for Winker, and he hits a 1-0 broken bat single up the middle over the head of the second baseman into center field. With 2 outs, Alonso is going on contact. The throw home from the center fielder had no chance to get him. Alonso slides in face first into home with the winning run. The Mets walk it off against the Phillies. They win 4-3. Let's go to the takeaways and the Mets Mayhem player of the game. The Mets Mayhem player of the game has to be Max Krennic. Forced into action, not in a typical situation, he was able to get 2 outs and keep the Phillies from adding to their lead by keeping the game at 4-3 going to the bottom of the 10th inning to at least give the Mets a chance to tie it. David Peterson got the start for the Mets and he went 5 1/3 innings. He allowed 2 runs on 8 hits. He walked 1 and he struck out 2. He gutted through those innings and he matched Zach Wheeler today. The Mets got on the board first. Brett Beatty crushed a 2-run home run to the upper deck in right field off of Wheeler to give the Mets the early 2-0 lead. The Phillies then tied it up in the 4th, but Peterson was able to keep them off the board until he handed the ball over to Brazoban in the 6th inning. Pitching on back-to-back nights, Brazoban gave the Mets a scoreless inning before turning the ball over to Danny Young in a tie game to face Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber. Young struck both out, 2 huge outs for Young and the Mets at that point, when one swing could just change the game. Budo came on and pitched the scoreless 8th inning with the help of Juan Soto and Hayden Senger. Soto didn't do much at the bat this game, but he made up for it with his defense, for sure. Diaz had a 1-2-3 9th inning in a position that I was honestly not comfortable with him. Right now, his control is an issue. I'm not comfortable with him in a tie or a close game. This was a tie game when he came in. The Phillies 9-1-2 hitters coming up. He retired them in order. He unfortunately had to leave the game when he felt something in his hip. I believe it was his left hip at the top of the 10th inning. So we'll be waiting to hear more news about that. But then Krennic comes on in relief and he gets the Mets out of a jam in the 10th inning. Pete Alonso, who's having a monster year so far, hit a double to tie the game up in the bottom of the 10th inning. And then Marte, who has been struggling not only with production, but with the change in his role and playing time, comes up the hero with the base hit to center field. What I love seeing was Jesse Winker running to him to hug him. He was the first person to get out to him. These players who are competing for playing time are pulling for each other. The Mets culture was changed last year, and it's just amazing to be a Mets fan right now. So the Mets win this game 4-3 in the 10th inning, walk-off fashion. They win their 7th game in a row. They go a perfect 7-0 on this homestand, are 12-1 at home this year. The Phillies get knocked to 13-12 and are now 5 games back in the NL East. The Mets have an off day on Thursday before starting a weird 10-game road trip in D.C. and ending in Arizona, with 3 home games versus Arizona added in the middle. Mets fully expect both Jeff McNeil and Francisco Alvarez to rejoin the team on Friday. We'll have lots to talk about. I'll be back to talk about what corresponding moves I think the Mets should make when they're activated, and we'll be back to recap Friday's game. But until then, Mets fans, let's go Mets.